Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1881. The topic is mindset, and the title is What You Avoid is What Limits You. Ooh. One of my newer clients, she's a personal trainer. She works out 4 to 5 days a week, at least 1 hour each workout. She then, in our consultation when we were initially talking, said that she adds extra activity. She goes on walks with the family, jogs with the dog, and does extra cardio classes with her friends. She then went on and told me the supplements that she uses, which are multivitamins, digestive enzymes, BCAAs, greens powders. She talked about a couple other things that were kind of joint related and mental health related, like CoQ10 and some other odds and ends. But she said she doesn't like the way she looks. She said, I train a lot, I eat healthy, I take the supplements I should, but I just don't look the way I feel like I should. I don't look in a way that says, hey, I'm a personal trainer. And I said, well, you've told me a lot of things that you do, but you only mentioned you eat well, but like, what do you actually eat? And she replied, I eat healthy. And then there was a silence, and I was like, okay, well, like, what is healthy to you? And then she said, I eat lots of fruits and vegetables, high fiber, low sugar. I'm good nutrition-wise. And I was like, okay, this is, major red flag. And after our consultation, we've been working together for a couple of weeks, and I said, do you mind if I tell this story? And she said, yes, please, just don't use my name. But whenever somebody avoids nutrition questions, I mean, golly, is that a red flag? So when she said, I'm good nutrition-wise, it was her way of basically putting up a wall. And I was like, oh, okay, that's definitely it. So I was like, I have to unpack this and kind of get in here and see what's going on. So I said, well, what's a typical breakfast for you? And her honest reply was, I really think learning how to program heavier lifts into my workouts is what I'm missing. I know if I lift heavier, I will be able to see my muscles more. I just don't feel confident with the heavier lifts. There was a silence, and I said, well, that's an odd breakfast. And we started laughing. And eventually, she put her walls down a little bit, and we started talking. And she just wasn't eating enough, not anywhere near. I mean, 1,000 calories a day, maybe. And she was doing all that activity and protein, golly, maybe 40, 50, 60 grams a day. The food was just so low. And we talked about it, she just had a really rough history with food. She was overweight as a teenager, made fun of, didn't really feel confident with herself. She then starved herself into being skinny fat, and then got into being super active as a way to be seen by other people as, oh, wow, look at so-and-so. She's super fit. She's always active. She's always in the gym. And she said, I went from the fat kid to, the girl who always works out. And that felt a lot better than being the fat kid. And I was like, yes, it would. However, she starved herself to this skinny fat state, but then didn't know what to do from there. If she were to eat more, she was fearful of being fat again. But the downside is she kept training more and doing more cardio and training more and doing more cardio, taking more and more and more supplements, but nothing seems to be helping her make progress. She can't get away from that skinny fat look. And the reason why was food. She just wasn't eating enough. So I said, training stimulates change. Nutrition is how the body completes that change. So you're training a lot, but you're not changing a lot. And I'm sure that's frustrating, which is why you reached out and now why we're talking. But what you're avoiding is the answer. What you avoid is what limits you. Hence today's title. The more she avoided food, the more it was going to limit her no matter what she did. She couldn't out-train her food. Now, typically when people say, can you out-train a bad diet? They mean if you overeat or eat crappy foods. But you certainly can't out-train a bad diet if the diet is under-eating. And that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to out-train her food. So we kept talking, and we decided on let's normalize the calorie range. So when I was looking at, when we were talking and looking through some past data on MyFitnessPal, we saw that when she used to track, the ranges were anywhere from 600 to 1,400 calories a day. And I said, well, can we get to like 11 to 14? Can we just get rid of those really low days? Let's just get you a little more, 11 to 14. And instead of anywhere from 30 to 60 grams of protein, can we hit 60 as like a minimum? Can we start to get 60 as a new norm? So that's what we started. And then I said, well, to help you be able to do that as well, let's think about time windows. So we divided the day into 3 blocks. The first 1/3 of being awake, then the middle third of being awake, then the final 1/3 of being awake. And I said, let's aim for a third of your calories and a third of your protein in the first third of the day. And then another third of the calories and protein the second third of the day, and the final calories and protein in the final part of the day. What that's going to do is it's going to help her avoid large windows without food, which is definitely causing her to not have sufficient muscle growth or muscle repair, and it's causing her to store a higher amount of body fat than what she should. So we need to spread that food out a little bit. Now, as she becomes comfortable with that, 1100 to 1400 is not enough. We're going to eventually need to get to go to like 12 and 15, then 13 and 16, and 14 and 17. And likely with her activity level, she'll probably be able to sustain between 1,600 to 2,000 calories a day. But if we try to push to that right now, she'll mentally break down because that's just way more food than what she's used to. She's going to feel like she's going to become fat again. Even if before she would see anything happen, it's just going to feel like that. And then if her body has regulated itself to the typical like 600 to 1,400 kind of randomness, and then all of a sudden we start putting in 17 or 16 to 2,000, she will actually gain body fat. Because at first, her body's going to soak that extra food in to try to reestablish its health. So it'll soak everything in to protect itself from this long period of time that she's been underfed. Then eventually that would normalize, and eventually it would come off. But who the hell is going to have the mental fortitude to push through that good 2 to 3 months probably of the body trying to store everything? So we're going to walk it up in slow increments. That's going to minimize any kind of weight gain effect, and she's going to see great progress. She's going to feel a lot better, but we're going to be able to do it in a way that she can manage better mentally and emotionally. So when we talked, I said food is fuel, food is progress. You cannot out-train your food and still expect to see results. So what you've been avoiding is now the elephant in the room. It's now the thing that we've got to address. We avoided it. You got what you could, and now nothing is moving because what you've been avoiding is what's limiting you. So for you, what do you want to be successful at? Do you want to lose body fat? Do you want to build muscle? Do you want to get stronger? Do you want to get a promotion at job? Do you want to have a better relationship? Do you want to make more money, or save more money or become better with money? Do you want to learn technology? What might it be? What do you want to be successful at? What is a goal you have? And now with that in mind, we have to think to ourselves, well, what are the components that are involved in that process? So for this client, let's just look at the 3 things of training, supplements, and nutrition. She was paying attention to, or at least aware of those 3. So we have to say, what are the components involved in that process? Training, supplements, and nutrition. Then we want to ask ourselves, well, what component scares me the most? What component challenges me the most? What component am I avoiding? For her, she was avoiding nutrition. For other people, they eat super healthy. They just don't like to work out. So their training, like exercise, is what they try to avoid. For whatever your goal is, what are you avoiding? You think of all the things that could contribute towards success in that goal. Of all of those components, What scares you? What challenges you? What are you avoiding? Eventually, what you avoid will become your limiting factor. It's unavoidable. You will eventually stall out and not be able to work past what that component is holding you back. You will be held back by what you avoid. You will be limited by what you avoid. You can wait, like this client did, until you've spent months and months, if not years and years, spinning your wheels, trying everything and anything, but you never seem to be able to move forward. Day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, you're throwing away more and more time, more and more resources, more and more energy. You're losing emotional and mental health. The longer you avoid that component, that thing that scares you, that challenges you, the longer you avoid it, the more of your life you are wasting. The best thing we can do is to address it now. The sooner, the better. The sooner you do, the more time you'll have to learn, to try things, and adjust. The sooner you'll be able to attack it, figure it out, and hopefully, eventually, become comfortable with it, become confident with it. Be able to at least control it enough that it's not going to hold you back. The sooner you address what you avoid, the less likely it is to hold you back and the less time, effort, energy, resources that you'll waste. So I encourage you, if you're like this client, you are trying just your absolute most that you can possibly do in every area, except for that one. If you have that one thing that scares you, that challenges you, that one thing that you're avoiding, I'd encourage you to address it. Even just a small step, just get your toes wet, read an article, listen to a podcast, talk to someone, just dabble. Just dabble a little bit in that area. Start to figure it out a little bit. Maybe it isn't as scary as you think it is. Maybe there's something you can do that pushes you forward just a little bit. You get used to that, then you try a little bit more. Get used to that and a little bit more. I hope that you don't let something you're fully aware of hold you back from your best life. If you know it's there, address it. Okay? Well, if you need anything, reach out. My email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. Right now we're doing free 15-minute consultations, so if you want to chat with me and maybe work with me, we would discuss, I'd like to meet you, kind of find out what your goals are, what your struggles are, and then what we could do to overcome them. You can sign up for that via email, brutalirongym@gmail.com, or go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com, go to the one-on-one services page. You can sign up for the free 15-minute consultation there. Okay, if you need anything, I'm always here. If you like the podcast, please share the podcast. If you like the podcast, please consider donating to support the podcast, which you can do on our website. Also, if you like the information we share in the podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. You can find us and follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.